That's where you're at. And you say, oh, okay, well, what's the next step? Is to not be attached to your work and still give up the fruits of your labor. But for someone to tell you that, that doesn't mean they're going to stop you from doing the work. It's just not to be attached to it. So that takes a clear-minded, honest person who is just out for your general welfare. And then once that happens to you, you can do it to others. Because you can pass on the same thing to others who are on a different rung of the ladder. You will feel gratitude and you will say, do the same thing unconditionally to someone else that someone has done for you. So that's how we actually help each other on the yoga ladder. You know, we're not up there, get down. I'm coming up. It's good up there, isn't it? You're not stepping on people's fingers. But in the world, that's what you do. As you're climbing the ladder, you know, you may do.
Also, it's, sorry.
Yeah.
But to get to a point also where, at least for me, and I'm not an all-knowing yogi, but it's not even close, is just finding contentment for just where I am. And oftentimes in my own little small world, I have to strive and strive and strive every day. I have to be better at study, I have to be better at my work, I have to be, you know, a better wife, daughter, friend. And at least for me, yoga has really taught me, probably the biggest lesson is to be content with where I'm at. And whether it's, not being able to do a certain pose or not, you try to breathe correctly and you try all these things. And for me, it was just a letting go to be like, okay, I'm not going to strive anymore. This is where I'm at. And for the moment, I'm going to be content in this. And actually what I found just from kind of letting go and being content is that maybe 2 weeks later I could, hold that pose for a little bit longer, or my head was just a little bit clearer, or, I could just be just a little bit calmer. But a lot of that just came from not from striving, just from, is the word santosh, is that the word?
Santosh.
Santosh, yeah.
Contentment.
Yeah, contentment. But for me, that's a very elusive thing in my life. It's very hard for me to find. But so I found it very interesting about climbing the ladder. And I had originally kind of been like, got to be better at this, got to do this. But for me, I think yoga was the biggest, no, you don't. Step back and just be in yourself. And if you advance, great. If you don't, then whatever, as long as you're content and happy.
Oh, that's so good. It's a nice realization.
Yeah, I read something the other day. It said that, I can't remember exactly how it phrased it, but basically it said, a sure recipe for unhappiness is the direct pursuit of happiness itself.
Yeah, that was on that Johnston, and it was at Dixon, and on that little...
Somewhere. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing with advancement. If you chase advancement, you won't get it.
Yeah.
Because even, as you say, that act of striving and the projection of your desire of what you want to be, it changes your actual perception of where you really are at. And the first thing you have to be able to do is understand really who you are and where you're at and accept yourself as that first, so you can go forward.
But we're also kind of going back to what we originally started talking about. We're also in a society that you can always be better. You can always have more. You can always do more. You can, trade up the car, and don't be satisfied with that because we can make it better. But a lot of that is a lot of kind of the society and the mentality. So I was thinking to myself, when you're asking what kind of society we are, I kept having this image of, the Beverly Hills blonde every 18 months turning in her Mercedes, her leased Mercedes for a better one, and shopping at her organic supermarket, yet driving her SUV gas guzzler to go there. We're such a society full of contradictions that it's like, I want peace, but as soon as I leave yoga, I'm going to go run my billion errands, and my hair is going to be frazzled. And
But from that, it seems that everyone's, it's a natural tendency though.
Yeah.
Because everyone's doing that, in normal society, and then even within the spiritual society, it just seems like a natural tendency. The difference is though, is that all of those things that people are chasing after, normal material things, you don't get that contentment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the difference with yoga. I mean, although you're saying you're not into the whole striving and trying to just be content, but in order to get to that point, you had to strive.
Oh, of course. No, of course. Absolutely. And that's just it. I mean, just that's the nature of human beings, is that we're always trying to strive and do something a little bit better, easier, more efficient. And, of course, and obviously, I wanted, to be the best, yogi I could in many, many aspects. But for me, where I got frustrated was like, how come I can't hold this back bend? Or how come I can't, do my deep breathing? Or how come I can't meditate? I want to meditate for 20 minutes, but all I can do is 7, but kind of like you progress and you progress, but when you hit those plateaus, it's like, wow, maybe I should just back off. Maybe it's cool.
What I found also is that it's incremental. So that you can't actually perceive the subtle change that's happening with you until you might be placed in an environment that you were previously in, but your consciousness is completely different. The way you perceive, the situation or the people in that situation is completely different. So it's very difficult to tell. Although sometimes you get those kind of wake-ups where you've been doing this yoga practice or whatever for so long, and then you might see like pictures of yourself having done yoga when you first began, and then you see now like some picture and you see the difference, but you never notice the difference during.
No, absolutely not.
Because it happens very subtly.
Yeah. I think another thing is that the postures are not themselves the goal; they're just the means.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Like one thing that really struck me was what Casey said last night. She said, I first started coming for the yoga, and then I started coming for the food, and then I kind of started coming for the yoga again. And then I noticed that I was getting less injuries in the sports that I was doing, and now I just find that yoga makes me a better person. So you kind of start off by trying to get better at that back bend and trying to be able to do this and that and thinking, oh, why can't I do it, and pushing yourself, and you can even injure yourself like that.
Yeah.
Like I actually injured myself doing that, doing Janu Shirasana. Well, they call it Janu Shirasana at Bikram because modification of the Sanskrit over time. So it's like English contractions. People get lazy. So they've changed it from Janu Shirasana, which means the knee and the head posture, to Janu Shirasana. Anyway, I did that and I injured myself because I pushed it too much. I'm still struggling with that injury. But yeah, then at some point you let go of that and you realise that the goal is not to become perfect at the asanas, and then you notice the other things inside yourself that have been changing as you've been doing that practice. And it reminds me of that ad that used to be on TV a long time ago for Param, and then the lady comes into the beauty salon and then she's putting her hand in the pedicure stuff and doing her nails and everything. She's going, have you heard about the new Param dishwashing liquid? And she's like, no, I haven't. Oh, it softens your hands while you do dishes. No, I don't believe it. And then she goes, well, you're soaking in it. And then she pulls her hand up and it's in the thing of palm olive, dishwashing liquid. She didn't even notice until someone pointed it out to her. And it's the same thing with the yoga practice. You go on doing it and then you don't even notice about the subtle changes that are taking place. And they're actually completely unrelated to the yoga postures themselves. And then one day you wake up and realise, like, who was it who was talking about David Swenson?
Oh, okay.
That was you?
Yeah, it is.
I was going to tell you this. This is what he said. He said, there's more to yoga than making an asana out of yourself.
Very true. Very true. That's why I like a CD.
A guy came in, he said, how long is it going to take me to learn how to do the full splits? As long as, take it. I said, I've never had that question asked before. He wasn't a very flexible guy, but he just wanted to do the full splits.
Is that the guy in the camo tights?
Yeah.
Camo tights.
Yeah, camo tights. And he was like...
There's swimwear,
And it was my head just couldn't get around it. But,
you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. But he had a goal. But if we had gotten him into full splits, then while he was doing that, I'm sure things would have changed.
Yeah.
And
you come for one thing,
you
come back for something else, and then at the end of it all you discover that what you were there for is something completely different to what you thought. That's what happened to me anyway.
Yeah. So
evolves, you come to the yoga and it comes out in that life, because it's like with that whole Atma. I've read some of the philosophy. I mean, you concentrate on yourself when you're doing the yoga, but then you also want to share it with people because you're getting a positive reaction from it. And people that practice yoga and believe in the things that obviously complement yoga, like the complementary of the vegetarian diet and stuff, and you want to share that with people because you feel like it's benefiting you, and then you start becoming, from being selfish by practicing yoga yourself and doing your own thing, you become selfless by sharing it with other people. And that, like you were saying about the ladder and how, as you're climbing it, you're not forcing other people down. So many other activities and interests, we live in such a competitive environment and world, and yet yoga is still got the old traditions where it's something that we all know that we can benefit from greatly, and society can benefit from greatly if we learn to share and and inspire people around us. I mean, there's nothing worse than a vegetarian boring the pants off you immediately. You go, oh yeah, you should be. But if people can see that it's having a positive effect on their life and their lifestyle and their health, etc., that you don't need to talk about it. You're a walking example, of it, and also compassion as well. I mean, you go to yoga classes and it's not like the grunting and groaning that you get in the gym, where people don't really talk to each other and they're all looking at each other in a way that they're almost envious of each other or trying to be better than each other. There's more of compassion when you go to a yoga class. People, because they're sharing the same thing, it brings out the better qualities in human nature. So, as much as I think when you do go to yoga, and first of all you sort of think, I want to get fit, I want to get rid of some of these vices and stuff like that, it evolves into something a lot bigger than that. And then as you say, if you do want to choose and advance it further, I mean, we've all had a lot of people say to us, oh, Hare Krishnas and yoga, and they think it's some mad scheme to get everybody on. But it's I mean, the fact.
What do you mean? No.
Sign on the dotted line,
I was saying the door is locked. Oh my God! It's true. They were right.
I mean, it's not like that. There's everybody's entitled to a belief, and I don't think Buddhists don't practice yoga, do they? I mean,
there is a Buddhist yoga.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that many. You don't see many Christians having their own workout, do you?
No, which, by the way, on Amazon.com, they have yoga for Christians to bring you closer to Jesus.
All right. Amen. Hallelujah.
No, so when I bought the David Swenson CD, it gives you if you bought this, you'll like this. And it was like yoga for Christians. Like, whoa.
I can't believe it.
Have I ever bought anything that has Christian in it from Amazon? And I was amazed, bringing you closer to Jesus.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Because they think yoga is demoniac,
I find it fascinating that there's only a few religions that actually say, well, if God made you and gave you this body to walk around in, you've got to use it or lose it. A lot of you can do what you like to it or whatever, just as long as you don't do this, you don't do that, or whatever. It doesn't say anything about obviously you can't. Some religions are quite strict about sex before marriage and blah 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 and blah blah blah. But it never says anything about you can't smoke, you can't drink. I mean, a lot of people, even in the Bible, they drink wine in the Bible. They eat meat and stuff like that. And
so let's get wasted every night.
That's right.
In the name of Jesus.
It's just for you, Jesus.
Yeah, this is the blood and the meat. I don't know. He chucked the animals on the land so we could eat them up. It makes a lot of sense to me, and I've said it loads of times, but it's not preachings, it's teachings, and Krishna comes but you've got to find out the answers for yourself, and like any education,
it says self-realization.
Yeah.
No one can realize it for you. We have to realize it.
And if you want it, it's there for you. But if you don't, as you say, you don't have to read any further. You don't have to find out how the book ends eventually. It's one of those things. And the fact that people here have started off in classes and ended up coming on a yoga retreat must mean that they've seen the benefits and felt the benefits, and they want. I I mean, as it said in the literature, you want to deepen your yoga practice, and you only get good at anything if you keep practicing. And like what you were saying, you don't notice that you're getting any better, but you need people around you. Sometimes I've had people say, oh, you've got that mood down, but you struggle with other moods, and you're always going to be your own taskmaster. But it's good because it gives you focus on something, I think, other than all the conflicts and such like in your world outside. As soon as you step out of this retreat or the Atma Yoga studio, you go back to the chaos and the melee. But you still can take that, what you've learned in the class with you. I don't know about anybody else, but I found myself, I like to think I'm a slightly calmer and more well-adjusted person, and at least I'm trying to learn to stay upright.
Yeah, it's like yoga. Yoga is actually an organization called Yoga for Daily Life, and then that's a good saying because it's teaching you yoga for your life, and you never actually the union that you're finding, the peace and contentment never ends. Actually, it's always there. It's an underlying factor, and it's like part of your matrix. It's becoming part of your cellular makeup. You're changing cellularly. So that will never change. It's just more and more. It's just encompassing you until you can just feel how full you are, and that fullness just comes out. And it seems to come out the same way for every yogi. They have the same characteristics about how you breathe differently, how you walk differently, how you react to things differently.
That's because they all realise that they're the same person at the end, isn't it?
No, not that. But you just have this, if we had to write down, and someone were just saying, well, what are the characteristics? Because we're practicing this, we do think, oh, I just can't sing. Why should I kill animals? Why should I? Oh, that really grates me. I have to really think about that. Or why should, you have to stop yourself pouring some Jimmy Bean down. You say, oh my God, this isn't the best thing for me. We were just looking at the ants, and we look at no other species of life will willfully take some kind of poison again and again until they pass out. No other species does it. I just know monkeys will. But they don't go into...
What is it? Fermented fruits?
They drink fermented fruits, and they're like, yeah. But it's not fruits that's going to... something they can overdose and kill themselves. We're the only species that does that.
Yeah, but we create it for ourselves as well.
We create it.
Produce it. I mean, that's something that's natural that the monkeys have produced. Well, the mother nature's produced, but we actually have breweries and that feed us these chemicals and make these intoxicants for us, and they're all stuff that everybody knows that it's fun one of us, but it definitely clouds your judgment, and you don't progress any further in this life by keep trying to find the answer in the bottom of a bottle, etc. And I mean, you need other. It's not so much a distraction, it actually helps focus you to a certain extent. Because it's helped me get over a lot of things. I don't drink as much as I used to. I've given up smoking because I'm sacrificing those things, and it's easy to put them aside because I'm finding benefits and gratification elsewhere without the need,
a higher pleasure.
That's it, yeah.
So you just really stop yourself from taking that or going there. Your friends call you, hey, this is a great party, and you come along and you're like, yeah, hey, you don't sound so excited, Last year was the bomb, Come along and you're like, yeah, wow, I'm so excited. Well, why don't you drive there? I think I'll meet you there. Because you're just not excited. There's something within you that's more... is exciting you more, gives you a deeper, like you said, contentment and happiness. So that's what we're all, but at different stages, we're all coming to that as we practice.
I think the thing with the animals and how they miss, and patterns of behaviour and how animals kind of don't, under normal circumstances, they don't manifest as many dysfunctional behaviours as perhaps humans do. I think it demonstrates the principle that the more free will that you have, the more potential you have for misusing it. And the actual purpose of free will is that it gives us the ability to engage in activities of self-realization, which animals can't do. They don't, like they say that when animals see their reflection in the mirror, they don't recognize that that's them. Their ability for self-realization is practically nil. They can't reflect on what they're doing and why they're doing it. Just like the kind of, reflections that Satya was giving about, striving and achievement, and this idea of achievement without striving. Animals can't think anything like that. They've got no capacity for that sort of thing. And that's what the human being's free will is meant for. And the thing is that if we don't use it for that, we've got to use it for something. So we end up using it for the wrong things.
Thank you all very much for this discussion. Tomorrow night we'll continue with Sita Pajidas giving some words and thoughts. So what's next on the schedule?